What are your streams of income from your crochet business and what percentage of each? How do you report monthly sales tax / income, etc. to the state? How old am I? What are some things worth investing in when you first start your business? Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jenna. I love to crochet plushies, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. For today's video, we are doing a Q&A session. I have not done one of these videos in over a year, so I was super excited about planning this video out. I collected these questions from my Instagram, I posted on my story, and you guys showed up. I got so many different questions, and I am going to try to address as many as possible. I've organized the questions into 4 different categories. First, we'll cover some questions about me. Then we'll cover business related questions, then social media related questions, and then finally we have a miscellaneous section that kind of has a bunch of different questions thrown in there. Also, I'm gonna try and go like kind of quick through these questions so I can answer as many as possible. But yeah, with that, let's get started. And then I have the questions on my phone, so that's why you see me looking at my phone. So first, we'll start with a question from David_P3. He asked, how old am I? So I am actually 26. I'm an October Scorpio, and I definitely look young for my age. I feel like I always get carded when I go out, and I still get carded when buying like a lottery ticket. So I guess I give off like not 18-year-old vibes. It's fine though, it's fine. The next question is from Palmer X5, and she asked, how long have I been crocheting for? So I actually started crocheting for the first time ever in January of 2021. My mom bought me a cat sweater crochet kit for Christmas, and I've always been a knitter. Like, I learned how to knit when I was younger, but I never really got into it. So when she bought me this cat sweater kit, I really did try my hardest to make the sweater, but it was really hard, like, not gonna lie. So then I just kind of like went on YouTube and I found the world of amigurumi, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make my very own turtle plushie, and that's what happened, and ever since then I've been hooked. Okay, Perfect.Crochet asked, what got you into crocheting? Well, I kind of just covered that in my answer to the previous question, but really I have my mom to thank, because if she did not get me that cat sweater crochet kit, I don't know if I would have like actually took it upon myself to learn a new hobby and learn how to crochet. So shout out mom, thank you so much. And my mom actually does watch my YouTube channel, so I know she'll listen to this shout out. Okay, Monica Ruse 9509 asked, how did I meet my husband? So if you guys didn't already know, I am married. I got married back in June of 2022. So my husband and I have been married for almost 2 years now, and we actually met for the first time in high school. We are both from the same hometown in New Jersey. We're from a super small town. Our high school was super small as well. I think my graduating class was like the largest class to come through in a while, and I think we had like 100 kids in my class. In my husband's class, he had like 70, so super small school. So my husband and I really weren't friends in high school though. He was a year above me. We didn't actually connect until after high school. We started like talking on Twitter, actually, out of all the social media platforms. We started talking on Twitter one summer when we were both in college. So that's ultimately how we started talking, and then eventually started dating and all that good stuff. Okay, that wraps up the personal questions. If you guys have any other questions though, I am super happy to answer them down below, so leave me a comment if you're interested. So we're now going to move into the business category. So all of these questions will be about starting like a crochet business and anything business related. So the first question is by ravecrochet_, and they asked, when building a website for your crochet business, what does it need to have? So this is actually a really good question, and I'd say the most important thing when building your crochet business is deciding what platform would work best for you. So there's a bunch of different ways you can sell crochet and crochet plushies, so physical products and also like digital products like patterns. You could sell them on Etsy, so you could use like a third-party platform and kind of go through them. Or you could have your own standalone website. So you could set up your own website on like Shopify or Wix or Squarespace and run everything entirely from your own standalone site. And then of course, the third way is basically just do like word of mouth, in-person market events, Facebook, Instagram. And I will say that's more like the alternative route. People usually choose like the third-party site or having their own standalone website. I personally sell on both Etsy, and then this past year I did build my own website. So now I sell through both methods. So if you go the standalone website route, you will need two important things when you start thinking about building and creating your own website. The first one is the actual domain name, and the second is the actual website platform host. And this is actually a perfect time to talk about today's sponsor, which is .store. And for all of you entrepreneurs and future millionaires out there, I have some really exciting news to share with you. So as you guys might already know, I use a .store domain name for all of my online businesses, and I wouldn't choose a different domain for selling online. So .store is actually launching an incredible contest exclusively for online sellers such as ourselves, and .store is offering a mind-blowing $10,000 in cash prizes. And guess what? All you need to do is launch your .store domain to enter. So if you've ever been on the sidelines waiting to start your own small business and wondering if now is the right time, this is your sign. There are several weekly sweepstakes with cash prizes, and yes, prizes, plural, and they're all up for grabs. So there's plenty of chances to win, and there is actually a grand prize as well for the coolest business. So like I mentioned earlier, participating in this contest is super simple. All websites that are live using a .store domain on August 31st are eligible. There is no need to apply separately or anything. So if you were thinking about getting a domain name, it is a super no-brainer that you should go with a .store domain. And this super cool contest isn't the only reason you should use a .store domain. With a .store domain, you actually sell more. A detailed study shows that .store websites can get up to 87% more visitors. That is absolutely crazy. Having a .store domain clearly tells your customers that your website is an online store, and it's like having a bright open neon sign right outside. It's no wonder that big names like Mr. Beast, Rihanna, and Cristiano Ronaldo are using a .store domain. You can get your .store domain from anywhere that you prefer. GoDaddy, Namecheap, Shopify, wherever you prefer, you can get it and you'll still be eligible to win. But if you'd like to get your domain for only 99 cents for the first year, I do have a special code for you guys. Just use the code Jenna at checkout, and then I'll also have the link down below in my description, and you will get your .store domain for only 99 cents for the first year. I highly recommend jumping on this opportunity and getting your domain name now, because as this contest goes on, it's almost like it pays to have a .store domain. So go ahead and get your .store domain today. Okay, the next question is from Kalista Hansen, and she asked, did you form an LLC or self-proprietorship for your crochet business? Yes. So when I first started my business back in January of 2021, I did not have it licensed like officially as an LLC, but after a year and after I started getting really serious about it, my order volume started going up, I did decide and go ahead and register it as an LLC. Now I just want to preface and say, like, I'm not a business professional. This is just what I did, and I'm just speaking from my own experience. So definitely look up the business laws and business regulations in your own state, since it does vary, or talk to a business professional or advisor. But I decided to ultimately register my business as an LLC as a way of protecting myself. By registering as an LLC, you are able to protect your own assets if something were to go wrong, and your business is completely standalone and totally not related to yourself, if that makes sense. It is like its own entity. So that's ultimately why I chose to register it as an LLC. Okay, Moon and Megan Crochet asked, how do you report monthly sales tax / income, etc. to the state? So basically, I hired a CPA, and I totally recommend this if you don't know much about taxes, which I feel like is everybody. Like, taxes is one of those things that are just like big and scary and nobody knows anything about them. So I personally hired a CPA, and they handle everything for me in terms of my taxes for my business. My accountant set it up where it will take out taxes on a quarterly basis out of my, business account. So that's just how I pay taxes. I know you could also wait till the very end to calculate the exact amount of taxes that you owe at the end of the year, whereas the quarterly amount is kind of just like an estimate based off of how much you've made in the previous year. They go ahead and take out the estimated quarterly tax payments. So then at the end of the year, you probably won't be paying as much as if you were to wait this entire time, you know? So it's like if I underestimated how much taxes I owed at the end of the year, I won't have to pay it all. I'll just have to pay whatever's left over that I didn't pay in the quarterly payments, if that makes sense. I know this is super technical. I totally recommend hiring a CPA to help you with anything tax related. In terms of like tracking income and everything, because I know I got a few questions about this as well, I used Excel for the longest time. I just like set up an Excel sheet for myself and I had like all my business expenses. I tracked every single thing. That's a really big tip that I would tell you guys. Like, definitely try to stay on top of tracking all of your expenses, because at the end of tax season, you are able to write off all of that as deductions, but you do need to be really organized and keep all of your receipts. This is something I learned the hard way. Like, the first year of my business, I did not do a good job of that, so I had to go back, search through all of my emails, all of my credit card statements, all my Amazon purchases. So now I try to stay more on top of that, and there's actually software out there that will help do this for you and like automate the process. I personally have signed up for QuickBooks, and basically you can link your like credit card. So I linked my business credit card, linked my business bank account, and it will automatically capture like all of my expenses, all of my income, and track all of that for me nicely and professionally. So definitely recommend looking into like QuickBooks or one of those like automated softwares to help make tracking your expenses and your income more easier for yourself. Okay, next, Chloe's plushie asked, what are some things worth investing in when you first start your business? Ooh, this is a good question. So I would say the #1 thing that I would recommend investing in is a label printer, specifically a thermal label printer. You will save so much money on ink by having a thermal label printer because it doesn't require ink. It's all thermal. And then also when I first started out, I didn't invest in this because I think at the time it was like $100, so I'm like, that is way too much money to spend. But in the long run, I was like wasting more money on ink, and then also just time spent like cutting out all of the labels, money spent on tape because I had to like tape all of the labels onto my packages since it was just like computer paper. So in the long run, that did save me a lot more time and money. So I would definitely recommend a thermal label printer. I got mine from Amazon, but I also have another one from Moonbin. I'll have everything linked down below for you guys, but either one works fine, and it is an investment up front, but I promise you it will definitely be worth the money. Another thing that I would invest in is, like I just said earlier with the other question, is a service like QuickBooks or some kind of like animated software that will allow you to capture all of your income and expenses. That will save you a lot of time and probably money come tax season. And lastly, I would say the thing that's worth investing in the very beginning is either Etsy ads if you're selling on Etsy, or just marketing in general. A lot of people ask, like, when you first start out, how do you get sales and how do you get traffic to your shop because you're brand new, people don't really know about you? And the best way to do that is through marketing, whether that be paying for ads on Etsy or boosting your Instagram post or creating a Facebook ad, which will essentially like blast out your shop and your products to people who don't know about you, and that will, you know, in turn hopefully attract buyers and people to your shop and turn into sales. I feel like you don't have to spend a lot of money on marketing, but spending some money in marketing and investing in marketing in the beginning will definitely help set you up for success in the long run, because people ultimately look at your store and they want to see reviews, they want to see purchase history, they want to see other customers who have bought from you and people who are happy to have bought from you. So marketing will ultimately do that for you because it will turn into sales, which can turn into 5-star reviews, which can turn into returning customers and really help shape the reputation of your brand early on. The earlier you start setting up your shop like that and getting sales and getting reviews, the better your shop will be in the long run, and the quicker you will grow and the quicker your brand will expand. Sorry, I don't know why I started randomly pausing like through my speech right there. This is all unscripted. I do want to mention I am just talking my mind, so hopefully all of this makes sense. Okay, crafty.creations by Ben asked, what has been your biggest yarn order and how much did it cost? Ooh, so you guys always comment on my yarn collection, and thank you guys for all of the love with my yarn. I just want to note that this yarn collection has been like 3 years in the making. I did not buy all of this yarn in one sitting because that would be like thousands of dollars. But basically what I like to do is I just like to purchase a little bit of yarn here and there, so it doesn't feel like a big financial hit, but in the end it does add up, but it's fine. I would say like the biggest yarn purchase that I made was actually on all of these pinks right here. They are Parfait Chunky. They're like my go-to yarn. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while now, you will know I'm a big fan of like chenille yarn. And there was a time where Premier was like pretty short on those colors. So when I saw that it like came back into stock, I immediately jumped on it. But I think it ended up being like $300. Wait, this actually reminds me of another time where I purchased a bigger yarn order. See, this goes back to what I just said, is that like all of this is unscripted and I kind of just come up with stuff, but I just remembered my actual biggest yarn order to date was around like $500, and I spent that all in one sitting. And again, it was for Parfait Chunky and Parfait XL, and that was for my largest order to date. And I actually have a super fun video about me making this order. It's my 20+ turtle order for Gimme Seaweed. I had to specifically buy like over, I think, like 30 skeins to make all of these turtles for them, and each skein is like $5 plus tax and stuff, so it came out to like a pretty big amount, around $500 all said and done. So yes, that is the most I've spent on yarn in one order. Okay, Fire Ash Designs asks, how did you learn to design patterns? I want to learn but don't know where to start. So I actually created a whole pattern design tutorial for you guys. I will link it down below, but basically pattern design, it's like a different language, honestly. Crochet and like reading crochet patterns in general is super hard in the beginning because it does feel like you're reading a whole different language. It's all these symbols, abbreviations, there's a math involved. So it really just takes a lot of time to just understand patterns in general. And then once you feel comfortable with reading crochet patterns, you can pick up any pattern that you buy or that you come across and you can make that plushie. I would say once you get to that point, it's a good indication to you that you can start kind of exploring and design your own. And of course, patterns come in different, you know, complexities. So you first probably want to start with a basic pattern, maybe something that is comprised of only, you know, like circles. So think like a frog. It's basically like one big circle with 2 little circles for the eyes. So starting simple, and then you can build your way up to something more complex, like a dragon, since you have more complicated shapes. So like a wing with like the different little spikes and everything, that's a little bit more complex. So you would save that pattern designing for a later stage where you feel really comfortable with all the stitches and kind of understand how each stitch will form your work. But if you want a more in-depth tutorial and explanation, in my pattern design tutorial video, I actually go step by step with you guys and we create our very own pattern together. So definitely check that out if you are interested in learning how to pattern design. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. I'm running out of breath, you guys. Okay, Crochet by CC asked, will you ever consider starting your own crochet kit? Ooh, this is a great question, CC. Yes, I am trying to make my own crochet kit because I feel like while yes, there are a lot of crochet kits out there, I feel like I would want to take my very own patterns and box them up into a kit. That way, if you are watching my channel and you see something that I've designed and you're like, I want to make that, but I don't know how, you can go ahead, go on my website and get the kit, and you'll have everything that you'll need, including the pattern, to make whatever plushie that you wanted. So at this point, I do have the patterns designed. I have like the supplies that I could include in the kit. I just now need to like sit down and like come up with packaging and probably just put together a few more tutorial videos for you guys. But yes, definitely stay tuned. It's something that I hope to launch eventually / later this year, but we'll see. Northern.Knots asked, what is the hardest part about selling on Etsy? So yeah, I've solely sold on Etsy for over 2 years. It was only this year, like around February of this year, where I finally branched out and made my own website. I always recommend Etsy to people who are first starting out just because I think it's such an amazing platform for you to grow as a first-time online seller, but it does come with its cons and its difficulties. I think the hardest part about selling on Etsy is just like trying to get the algorithm to promote your shop. You know, there's thousands of Etsy shops out there, and you know, with social media and everything, the thing behind social media and Etsy is the algorithm, and that's ultimately what will boost your listings to the front page and get your shop really seen. And honestly, like, I never really looked into it specifically, but I know like SEO is a big thing, keywords, and like doing things that will help Etsy promote you is really important to understand, and I think that could be the most difficult thing when starting an Etsy. A lot of people are confused on how to get their listings boosted by the algorithm, how to get seen, and I think if you're not aware of how to do those certain things, your shop can definitely get hidden and not seen as much. So I think that's definitely the biggest thing. I do have another video. I don't want to be like a shameless plug, but since this video that I'm doing right now is kind of limited in time, I don't want to go too much in depth, but I do have a whole video dedicated to setting up your Etsy store step by step, and then my Etsy tips and tricks. And in that video, I kind of go into like what keywords, how to have a good Etsy listing, etc. So I'll link that down below for you guys as well in case you want to check it out. Okay, Leah.Jansen.2012 asked, will any of your old patterns ever be free? Yes, I have a bunch of free patterns on my YouTube channel here. Oh wait, oh no. Hello? I hate spam calls. Like, I feel like that is all I ever receive nowadays is like, if I get a phone call, it's most likely a scammer. But okay, to answer Leah's question, so on my channel, I do have a bunch of free tutorials, and they are all of my patterns, and that is basically where I have all of my free patterns available here on YouTube. I do plan on filming a lot more tutorials. I know I haven't in a while, just because they are a big time commitment for me to like sit down and film step by step, but I am planning on doing a lot more tutorials, so definitely look out for them. I know for sure I will be coming out with a tutorial this month in June, so hopefully by the end of this month it will be live. Okay, and lastly, Crochet Tales of Lily asked, what are your streams of income from your crochet business and what percentage of each? So this is a good question. I would say I have multiple streams of income. The first one and the biggest one being my Etsy. That is where a majority of my income is made, just because that is where the majority of my sales come from. I feel like Etsy would make up like 60% of my income, and that includes both physical plushie sales and patterns. Next we have YouTube. YouTube is another big portion of my income. I earn money off of ads that you guys watch whenever you're checking out my video, and then also off of sponsorships and like brand deals. I think together that would make up, wait, I have to bring out a calculator because I want to make sure I add my percentages up to 100. Okay, so 20% would be YouTube and sponsorships. Okay, next I would say 10% of my income comes from Patreon. And basically, if you guys didn't already know, Patreon is a service where you can pay monthly to a favorite creator of yours, and in exchange for paying them monthly, you will get specific benefits each month. So for example, my Patreon, you could pledge like $6 and you'll get a free pattern every month. You can pledge $12 and you'll get 15% off my store, 2 free patterns each month, etc. And then the last 10%, I think that would just comprise of like etc. miscellaneous items. So like my Amazon storefront, money from the creator fund on TikTok and like Instagram. And yeah, I think that brings us to 100%. So that is roughly kind of my different streams of income and how much they make up. Okay, moving right along, we're gonna go into the social media portion of this Q&A section. I feel like I have to start speeding it along because I don't know how long I've been talking, but I feel like it's been some time now. Okay, CBJ Crafty Crochet asked, how did you get so many followers on Instagram? So honestly, I don't know, you guys. Like last year, 2023, my Instagram really did pop off, and I don't know why. I feel like I didn't do anything like crazy, but I feel like the key to growing on Instagram is definitely posting reels. Maybe that is something I changed up. By posting reels every day, you really get to get like more people to check out your page who don't already follow you, because reels get pushed out by the algorithm to all of the people who don't follow you, whereas if you post like a picture post, like a normal Instagram post, that really just stays within your bubble of followers. So like those people already follow you, so it doesn't necessarily bring you any new followers. Also with reels, you have the chance to go viral, and I think by going viral a few times, that did bring me a lot of followers and more people to my page. So overall, I feel like I attribute all my Instagram success to posting reels. Okay, CapCut asked, how many followers do you need to make a full-time income in selling patterns? I feel like this is a good question, but it's also hard to answer because it varies person to person. I feel like full-time for each person kind of varies in terms of like what the expectation is. I feel like I know a bunch of crocheters on Instagram who have various different followings, and they're all labeled as full-time. So like we have people who have over 100,000 followers, they're full-time, but then I also know people who have like 20,000 followers, 15,000 followers, and they're also full-time. So it really just depends, not necessarily on how many followers you have, but how much income you actually are generating from patterns and crochet in general. And then whatever number you feel comfortable with as labeling like full-time, or telling yourself like if I hit this amount of income I can go full-time, then you can actually go full-time. But I don't think it should be, you know, categorized strictly on how many followers you have. Okay, too bad you love figure. I don't know how to pronounce that username. I totally botched it. I am so sorry. I just go off of like, how do you say it? Like phonetics, like sounding it out based on how it looks. But I feel like I always botch it. I'm so bad at pronunciation, you guys. But okay, they asked, how do you get sponsorships / brand deals? So I would say I got my first brand deal on YouTube. I haven't really gotten a lot of brand deals strictly through Instagram. I feel like Instagram, it's harder to get brand deals, but if you have a YouTube, I feel like that's where a lot of companies approach you. So I got my first brand deal back when I had like 1,000 subscribers, and honestly it was pretty eye-opening to me because I was like, wow, this company actually wants to work with me and like pay me to have a brand deal, and I have like 1,000 subscribers. That's so cool. But basically I've never really sought out a brand. They just kind of like hit me up. I would say it's really important to have your contact information in every video, in your profile, all over your bio, just because when companies do want to potentially work with you, they will reach out to you directly and they'll need an email or some way to contact you. I also know in like the lifestyle content creation space, people who do makeup and like lifestyle videos, I know it's more common for them to reach out to, you know, brands that they want to work with. So I feel like you could always try to pitch yourself to a brand as well, saying like, hey, like I really love your products. I would love to potentially collaborate with you. I have X amount of followers, I get X amount of engagement on my posts, like please let me know if we could work something out. Because I feel like I have heard success stories where people just kind of like cold pitch themselves to these brands and they say yes. Because at the end of the day, these brands are like multi-million-dollar corporations. They have money to pay for these brand deals. You just gotta like get yourself out there or get yourself in front of them and pitch. Okay, Suni Plush asked, has YouTube increased or decreased your self-confidence? Ooh, I like this question. This is kind of deep. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Growing up in high school and everything, I was like not a person who would be comfortable on camera. I actually was part of the newspaper club in high school, and part of that club is where we did like weekly newscasts, and I never wanted to be like the anchor or in front of the camera. I was always the editor in the back editing the videos, and that's because like I struggled a lot with like my own self-confidence, my looks. I was just like, ew, I would see myself on camera and I would be like, I'd flinch, I'd be like, no. But honestly, I don't know what has changed. I guess over time I just kind of realized like all of that stuff doesn't really matter. Like what people think of you, how you look, like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, you know? It's like if you want to share something that you're passionate about, in my case it's crochet, was I really gonna let my own like lack of confidence prevent me from sharing these adorable crochet creations? No. And I feel like I did want to start my YouTube sooner, but like my shyness and like my overall lack of confidence did kind of prevent me from doing so. But then finally I was just like, no, I do not want that to get in the way. Like I want to share my creations with everybody. I want to share my crochet process and connect with you guys and show others that they can start their own crochet business. So I kind of just got over myself and was like, let's do it, like whatever. And then fast forward a year, now I totally feel comfortable on camera. Oh my gosh, my camera cut me off because we ran out of memory. This video is totally too long. We gotta start wrapping it up. But long story short, fast forward a year, I totally feel comfortable on camera now. I feel like I can be myself. It was super awkward at first, but I feel like starting a YouTube channel ultimately helped my self-confidence. So if anyone out there is in a similar boat, you want to start a YouTube but you don't feel comfortable, you know, showing your face on screen, or you feel kind of awkward or you don't have the confidence, just think about all of the fun that you're missing out on by not doing it, and then try to convince yourself to just do it anyway and forget about all of that self-confidence stuff. Okay, we're gonna move into the miscellaneous section and we're gonna wrap up this Q&A. I'm gonna try and go speed round. Okay, Fruity Stitch asks, do you enjoy your day job and do you plan to quit and crochet full time? So I feel like I am too scared to quit my full-time job. I also do enjoy my full-time job, so I feel like for the time being I am going to stick with the 9 to 5 hustle and then my 5 to 12 a.m. crochet hustle. But you know, we never know where I'll be in a few years. Maybe when my husband and I want to start a family and like kind of slow down, then I'll think about crocheting full-time. But in the meantime, I am super happy with my corporate job and doing crochet on the side. Okay, River_STYXX877 asks, what are some websites you recommend for buying yarn? My go-to is definitely Premier Yarns. That is where Parfait Chunky, Parfait XL, Little Bunny, Pixie Dust, all of my favorite yarns come from that website. If you're US based, I definitely recommend Michaels or Joann's. They have Bernat Blanket, Bernat Velvet. And then for my international friends, I feel like Hobby, or people have told me like it's pronounced Hobie, even though I've seen people say both. Hobie/Hobby would be great alternatives. Also Amazon, I feel like I've heard from a few people that they've gotten certain yarns that they weren't able to get anywhere else off of Amazon. Okay, Austin with an E asked, how many cat loaves have you made so far? Excited to see the army. So in case you guys didn't know, I'm currently doing a challenge where I try to make as many cat loaves as I can out of 8 skeins of Bernat Blanket yarn, and so far I have 12 cats. We are getting there slowly but surely. This box right here actually has all of the yarn that I'm using for the cat loaves, so it's definitely been a process, but we are making progress. Okay, and then the last question is from Pig_Zig, and she asked, how do you deal with creative burnout? So as much as I love crochet, I definitely get burnt out, and I feel like I get this question a lot. So what I like to do and what I recommend is, first off, take a break from crochet, completely get out of the crochet space. Don't go on Instagram and look at crochet stuff. Don't look at another pattern. Just leave your craft room and then try to pick up a different hobby. So for me, that's like coloring, playing video games, or I also like to go on YouTube and look up other vlogs, whether that be from the art community where people like making their own stationery and stickers, or whether it be from like the sewing community, but something like entirely outside of crochet but still creative. I feel like whenever I watch those vlogs, I feel inspired again to create my own crochet creations, because it's something about like watching other people make art and like run their own business that isn't related to crochet. It makes me like want to crochet again. So I don't know what kind of logic that is, but those are my #1 tips for preventing burnout. I also want to say I do crochet every day, but it's also important to listen to your body. I know I get a lot of questions asking about like crochet pain, like how to prevent it. Do I get it? So I definitely do feel strain on my wrists some days, on my back, and overall I do tell myself to take breaks. It's super important to like not crochet all day, especially on weekends. That's where I'm guilty of doing that. So just remind yourself and be cautious cognizant of your body, and if you need a break, it's okay to put down that work in progress. It'll be there for you when you come back feeling refreshed, so definitely try to listen to your body and don't push yourself, because that will lead to like injury and could be really bad. But okay, I think that brings us to the end of today's video. We got through all of the questions. Thank you guys so much for asking me those questions. It was super fun. Definitely leave a comment below if I didn't get your question or you have a new question for me. I'm happy to answer it. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in my next one. Have a great rest of your day. I'm kind of rushing because my camera's dying. Sorry, this is like chaotic, but I'll see ya. Bye.